Let's talk about hand drums. I have 3 different sized Remo hand drums, and obviously the size matters. It makes a different sound. So we go from like 6 or 8 inch to 12 to 14 and upwards to, they make a 22 inch, huge, big, beautiful frame drum. Notice that this does not have any tuning mechanism at all. So these need to be kept kind of away from weather, and they can go flat after a couple of years. Remo's doing a really good job of making them better so they last longer. So this has a little bit of a notch in it where your thumb goes, okay? So I guess I'll start with instruction as we're going along now, but you get the idea. This is held with your thumb on the inside, and then all your fingers are now can access the drum to play with your fingers. And then at like 3 o'clock over here, I've got my thumb leaning the drum into the thumb, and you now have this kind of pivot to tap. Frame drums tend to be a very personal drum. As you play it in front of you, it sends that vibration of the drum into your chest, into your heart. So that's a Remo, looks like about a 12 or 14 inch head. Obviously the smaller the drum, the brighter, higher tone would be. And then the bigger drum gets into the bass. Again, we have the notch. So that's playing with the hand. That's the advanced version of how to play one of these drums. More of a Middle Eastern style of hand drum, right? But can be played with a mallet, simply. Kind of Native American style. Just bass. Kind of holding down the bottom, right? In the tone when you use the mallet. You can tap the edge, tap the stick on the edge. You get 3 edges or 3 sounds there. Okay, so those are Remo frame drums. And then we get into what's called a buffalo drum, which has a series of ropes on the back. Intertwine your fingers in there, and oh, I love these drums. Not a lot of difference in tone. It's really just the bass. That's a Remo buffalo drum, 14 inch. And then this one, you've probably seen me play in other videos. Again, it's got basically the same type of drum, only bigger, and a different material on top, right? Oh, so this is the bottom. This is the heartbeat of every drum circle right here. It's mellow, it's warming, it's comforting. Sounds like the mom's heartbeat in the womb. notice that very center of the drum sounds different than the outer third. I like both. The middle is louder. Love this drum. This is a Remo Buffalo drum, and they make them in different sizes. So let's talk about technique, right? Hand technique. How do we tap these drums and get a good sound out of them? We talked about that with the frame drums, but let's talk about technique with the djembe drum, okay? So first of all, first temptation that we have when we sit down in front of a drum that's right in front of us like this is to just let it sit on the floor and tap it. And it just doesn't work, because the sound has to come out of the bottom of the drum. So watch and listen as I tilt the drum. Huge difference. So the drum comes off the ground, and it can either rest on the ground and tilt, and as long as that bottom end is open, you're going to get much better sound out of it. Okay? Now, with your whole hand in the middle, fingers together, gently tapping. So instruction real number one is never hit your drum. Okay? We're not hitting these instruments. We're tapping lightly. You will always get a better sound out of every drum by tapping lightly than wailing on it and hitting it hard. And so that's instruction number one. That's going to save you your hands from getting worn out very quickly if you hit it hard. And if you find yourself in pain, then you're hitting too hard. So tap it lightly, and you're always bouncing your hand off the drum immediately, like a ball bouncing off a court, or a kid bouncing on a trampoline, right? We are pulling the sound out of the drum when we tap it lightly and kind of bounce off the drum. There is a tension in these heads that makes it quite satisfying to bounce off the drum. And if you keep the drum, if you kind of linger on the drum, it doesn't sound very good, okay? Unless you mean to do that. So we're bouncing our hand off the drum. Whole hand, fingers together, in the middle gives you a bass tone. So you want to be able to get the same tone out of both hands. Beautiful. Now, we're going to introduce the tone. Fingers together, and with kind of the meat of the palm of your hand up here hitting the edge of the drum, that sends your fingers into the drum, and you're snapping back, you're pulling the sound out of the drum, and it's a much brighter, higher tone. And so I'll show you both. Okay, so bass tone, 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 right? And again, you want to be able to get the same quality of sound out of both hands. Okay, that's number two. Number three is the slap. Okay, so my teacher, Yaya Diallo, he taught healing rhythms of Africa. And his instructions for teaching healing rhythms was one thing: no slap. So no slap. But the slap can be fun because it's not something you want to play constantly. You throw it in as an accent. So it's bass, tone, slap, bass, tone, slap, bass, tone, slap. And what I'm doing is I'm separating my fingers, maybe only throwing 3 fingers at the drum and hitting it a little harder. Bass, tone, slap, bass, tone, slap, bass, tone, slap, bass, tone, slap. Hear the difference? Now, there is a mute. I told you not to linger on the drum, but there is a purposeful mute that you can do by holding your hand on the drum and then tapping the drum with your other hand. So it's bass, tone, slap, bass. Next session will basically be how to take these drums confidently and musically into a group setting. So thank you all for checking this out, and we'll see you next time.